folks, welcome to Look Back. This is a series in which I'm taking a look at games that I reviewed a year ago and games that I reviewed 5 years ago and tell you what I think about those games today. Now, apparently last year, this week, I was a reviewing machine. And I think it's because it was right before Essen, because there is a lot this week, so let's jump into them. We'll start out with Me Want Cookies. This game here is one about following strings to get cookies. It's a great kids game, and I believe, even though I didn't rank it super high, it is still on my shelf because my daughter really likes the game. The Secrets of Mad King Ludwig. This is an expansion to Mad King Ludwig and added some more stuff. Basically just more stuff, but it also added the moat around it. This was an Essen release. I happen to have gotten it early. I enjoyed it, added it to my Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which is still on my shelves, and I still like that game. Cave Troll. This was the 3rd edition or 4th edition. It's hard to keep track. Cave Troll is a fantasy flight game, and I enjoyed it, and I still do enjoy this one. I mean, it's not really a dungeon crawl. It's more of a take that game done right. This is a game in which you are placing different people out, trying to control different areas of the cave. You put a cave troll somewhere, it moves everybody out. It's not as much about the cave troll as you might think, but I still enjoy it. Shakespeare, I still really enjoy. Still in my collection. I love the theming. I love how simple the game is. I love the different options. I just got the expansion. I believe it's behind me here. Yeah. I haven't even opened this up yet. Shakespeare Backstage. But some more cards. It's cool. But even without this little expansion, I'm still really enjoying the game. Pandemic Legacy. Oh, man. Did I love this game. And I still love this game. In fact, I think my rating has gone up on the game because I originally played it with Sam Z and Jason. It was a really great time. I've now since started playing it through my family, where I'm kind of just moderating and letting them make the decisions, and wow. You got to really hand this game. This is just a fantastic legacy game. Tick Talk. This is kind of a clever team versus team word game where one team is trying to come up with clues, and the harder you make your clues, the more time you give your opponent. It's kind of an interesting game, but like many of these party games, probably forgettable in the long run. Tiny Epic Galaxies. I was a little worried about this one because the game before it, Tiny Epic Defenders, I actually really disliked. Tiny Epic Kingdom I liked, but I thought it was too small. Tiny Epic Galaxies I think was very good. It's the best of the series. I've since played Tiny Epic Western. Tiny Epic Galaxies is still the best of the series. It still is smaller than it should be. I still think the game could have come in a Ticket to Ride size box and really been a hit. As it is, this is still, of all the games of the Tiny Epic, still easily the one I see played the most. Every time I go to a game meetup somewhere, someone's likely playing it. So I think this one has the biggest legs. Jolly Roger, this is a silly, fast game. Not fast, but like a pirate where everybody is accusing everybody else. It's good. It's slightly wonkier than it should be. It's not as smooth as many of these games where you have to negotiate with other people, but the theme, and there's some really funny moments to it. Graveyards, Ghosts, and Haunted Houses. This is the sequel to Robots, Ninjas, and Pirates, where each person has faction putting tiles down. Rather Dashing is kind of trying to almost reach a mass market level with their games, so they don't put out too many games a year. I thought this one was a very solid game. Not necessarily my style of game I want to play all the time, but this is one like if someone said, should I get this game for my family? Well, yeah, you should. There's some pretty interesting features to the game. And I think that it's an easy enough game that a lot of people can get into it. Port Royale. This is another game that is still in my collection. It's a bluffing push your luck game. I was just talking about this one, and someone said, are you going to get the expansion for it? I haven't got the expansion for it, but I want to. So this Essen, I'm going to try to snag one. But Port Royale is just an excellent little game. Probably my favorite push your luck style game that exists. PBL Robots. This was garbage. When I reviewed it, I said it was garbage. I haven't thought of it until today, so still garbage. Unfortunately, a fun little idea, but just no playtesting obviously was done. Duplic. This is the game where you're describing what other people, what you see to other people and they do it. Cool concept, but I really cooled on this one as time has gone by. I think this was nominated for Spiel des Jahres at one point, but it's a kind of a one-note game, so I'm going to pass on this one in the future. Chronicler is kind of a super, super light civilization building game. And I really got to give it points for it being just kind of innovative in the things. It's not a perfect game. There's some things about playing the different number cards as you're trying to increase up the technology tree, but I'm still pretty impressed with this one. And it was never actually picked up by any of the other publishers. Maybe it will be at some point. Matcha, this is another game that I still have. Now this one, of course, gets some points for being small, but this is a two-player, almost Zen-like experience as you are trying to get different, you're playing two cards and trying to win at a spot, but you only have so many cards to play. I found this very clever, really trying to outthink the other person. Hook. This is silliness, right, where you're putting things down and there's holes in the cards and trying to match the different things and then claim them and get points for your team. Silly fun, mostly for kids, I think, more than anything else. Greedy Pirates. This is a dice rolling game where you try to get stuff, a Yahtzee style, but this one did not work. It's not awful, but it's also not very good. It's one of those very forgettable, just go play Yahtzee rather than this game. And Alien Wars, this is where you're throwing discs or cards onto a table to see where they land. That's exactly what it is. You're either going to like that or you're not. Okay, let's go back 5 years ago, and let's take a look at those games. First, I reviewed Eaten by Zombies. This was a deck-building game. This was in the throes of everyone making new deck-building games. I really liked Eaten by Zombies. It came out with an expansion. It's a fine game. It's cooled for me a bit. The graphic design has wore on me. Those cards just do not look that great. It's almost too gaudy in its looks, and it hasn't really differentiated itself out of the pack. Deck-building games often need some expansions to keep them fresh. This one had one, and it was good. It was good, just, again, and I still think it's a good game, just not as good as I did back then. Hibernia, some people called this El Grande Little. It's more like El Grande Little and boring. I did not like it. Very forgettable game. Again, this is one of those ones I had to go back and watch the review to remember exactly how it even played. Killer Bunnies and the Ultimate Odyssey. Now, me and Melody gave this game a decent review. We both reviewed it, and for Melody at that point in time, it was fine. It was almost like a Magic the Gathering back and forth type game with different colors, and not quite a rip-off of Magic the Gathering, but in that same vein. But it wasn't, randomized and all that. So it was interesting, but as time has gone by, I've really cooled a lot on the whole Killer Bunnies aspect. And if I do want to play Killer Bunnies, I'll just play Killer Bunnies and the quest for the magical carrot or the golden carrot or whatever it's called over this one. This one, I haven't heard anyone talk about this one. Tic Tac Boom, or Tic Toc Boom, I'm sorry. This was a somewhat forgettable game. Again, I had to go back and look at it, kind of like doing a party game aspect. And this is just one that I didn't give a very good review to back then, so I haven't even thought about it in 5 years. Dabong, you know what? Sometimes there is one of these older games that really I can remember what happened with that game. And in this case, I remember that this company was like, we play tested this with many, many people who had all played Uno, and they all agreed that this one's better. Well, first of all, that is not a testimony time. And Dabong, first of all, was not better than Uno. It was hilariously badly put together. It's one of those games that was so bad that I still remember it. Jet Set Distant Lands. Jet Set has never really taken off from What's a Plag. I don't know why. Airlines Europe and Jet Set have some similarities, and I probably like Airlines, well, I definitely like Airlines Europe better, but Jet Set is still a really neat game. It's a good economic game, and I thought Distant Lands, which added 5 modules, I think when I play Jet Set now, I use at least 3, maybe 4 of those 5 modules. One helped put more money in the game, one actually brought out the Distant Lands part, a very solid expansion, which I have enjoyed more and more over the years. Rowboat, this was a trick-taking game, and it's mass market style trick-taking, easy to play. I remember they had big production. I remember at Gen Con I was following like a line on the floor to say, hey, Rowboat is this direction. I remember that one tremendously, but yeah, looking back at it, it's okay. It's not a game that I would really recommend today. There's a lot of trick-taking games. Rowboat is merely okay. Elder Sign. Wow, this was a big game that had come out at Gen Con in this time frame. And I liked Elder Sign okay. I wonder why it took me so long after Gen Con to review it. Here's the deal though with Elder Sign. I think it's a fine game. I just never feel like playing it that much. So I dinged it a bit for that. Z loves the game. Sam likes it. It's dice rolling, and I've seen it and I played it. I haven't played it with, I think, any of the expansions. I've only played the base game. And I know the expansions make it better and better, but I don't know if I'm going to do a horror, Arkham Horror. I'm going to go play either Mansions of Madness or Eldritch Horror at this point in time. And I know this is much lighter and easier, so maybe I'll get this one back to the table. And finally, knock your blocks off. This was just to build things and then have the other people try to knock them down. It's exactly as it sounds then. It's exactly as it sounds now. So those are the different games that I reviewed a year and 5 years ago. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been Look Back.